Hey everyone, thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to go over Bitcoin and we're going to be looking at it on a log scale. So not only is the y-axis going to be log, but x-axis is also going to be log. If you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, and like the video. And feel free to follow me on Twitter and join my Telegram and Discord channels if you guys want to discuss these graphs and jump in further. So this first chart just shows the price of Bitcoin on a log scale versus time on a linear scale. And what we're going to do is first we're going to convert this to just days. So you can see that this is just number of days since we started over here. And then we're going to take the log of that. Or we're not going to take the log of it, we're just going to plot it on a logarithmic scale. So you can see that, for instance, like this is 10 days, 100 days, 1,000 days, and 10,000 days. And this is also on a log scale over here as well. So it's interesting because it seems like it pretty much just moves up this curve. Let's keep jumping in here. So basically, I'm just going to ignore this because from 1 to say 10 days. The price didn't really do anything, so I'm just going to jump it out around to 40 days or so. So here we are. We're starting at 40 days, and we're going all the way up. We're plotting it out to 10,000 days, which clearly we have a long way to go to get there. But so that people can better understand where we are in terms of time, we're going to show the years. Now, I first am just drawing this general trend line to guide the eye, but we're going to convert this to years. So we have 2012, 2016, 2020, 2024, so on and so forth, out to 2036 here. Now, basically, these lines, I've mentioned this before, but these are imaginary lines. They don't actually mean anything. They're just trying to guide the eye as to what the trend is doing, but the trend can obviously be broken because if you had drawn a line from this point to this point and extended it, then clearly we would have overshot that trend line. So keep that in mind. But it just gives you a vague idea of this general path that we're on. So remember, because this is a log scale, so the time between here and here is 4 years, but also this between here and here is 4 years, and here is 4 years. So consider, keep this in mind because this is the same amount of time as this, but because it's a log scale, it's going to compress it and compress it and compress it. So let's extend it out a little bit further. So now we're going to extend it out to 2040 so that we can just kind of get an idea of what the future may hold. And clearly I can't say for sure what would happen, but let's draw these lines. So we have 4 primary lines. We have these 2 green lines, and you can see the bottom one is drawn along this support region here, which is also the support region here, and all the way up. And then the second one is this support region here, which is also more or less this resistance here and this resistance here, and it also acts as support here. And we're drawing that all the way up. And then we're going to draw 2 other lines over here. We're going to draw from peak to peak and extend that out, and from peak to peak and extend that out. And just to get an idea of the typical range that we might oscillate between as we ultimately converge on some type of price stability, maybe a couple decades from now. So you can see this is our general graph, and we're wondering, ultimately our hypothesis is that if cycles are lengthening, so we think I think they're lengthening. Some people will say, well, would you prefer, we'll see if you're right, or we'll see if the 4-year cycle is right. And I'll be like, well, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, personally, I hope it's a 4-year cycle. Let's cash in sooner. So I think we can all hope together that I'm wrong and the cycles are not lengthening. But if indeed they are lengthening, then we're going to be prepared for it. I think that the evidence does suggest that they are. So let's assume that if the next peak is out in, say, 2022, 2023, something like that, we can look at these lines that go horizontal that are essentially orders of magnitude. So this is 10 cents, a dollar, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and this one up here is a million. So if we were to treat this as our resistance line, this upper one, which it might not be, then maybe you can see that if you were to start at 2024 and go all the way up, you can see that we could theoretically hit this point over here before 2024. So maybe 2023, it's obviously possible that we could pop above this line just like we would have popped above this one. But ultimately, this is, I think, a good guiding indicator to the general path that we're on. I also think it's very interesting that on a log scale that this band here, it's resistance here, it's resistance here, and then it's support here. So it begs the question: are we going to come down into this region because we came down into it in this cycle, and we came down into it in this cycle? Are we going to come down into this region here? Now, note that this. Because this is continuing to move up, if we were to drop to this, let's say we were to immediately drop over the next, say, year. Suppose that, say a bearish scenario in which we were to, the price were to drop. If we came to this trend line, and let's say it happened in, say, 2021 or somewhere in here, then that would put our price at around, let's see, so this would be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, maybe between $3,000 and $4,000 if we were to return to this band, because over here, while we were at $3,000 to $4,000, you can see that it actually held this line as imaginary support. So we'll see if we drop into that band. Obviously, I think that would be the more bearish scenario for the short term, but still keeping the eye on the larger picture of recovering and coming back up to the top of the trend line as well. So this, I would say, a bearish scenario would be ultimately dropping back into this band and then coming back up. And some of you might be saying, oh, well, this is a fairly decent ROI in a short period of time. It's basically as steep as this one. Well, it's not, because you have to remember that this is 4 years between here and here, and then here and here is 4 years. So this is actually compressed. So the time over here is actually, it's being compressed together. So we have to, spend much more time just to be printing out the same time, basically, if that makes sense. I mean, I know it might be somewhat confusing if you're not used to log scales, but this is 4 years, and then this shorter period here is also 4 years. So in order to say have the same number of pixels on the screen, we have to spend more time. So I would say, maybe this is a bearish scenario, and ultimately I'm just drawing it up to around $100,000. I mean, we could obviously go higher than that, we could go lower, but that's just where I'm drawing it. And, this was, I would say, would be a short-term bear scenario, followed by obviously a bull market scenario. Another scenario would be that we hold this one as support again, and if we were to hold it as support, then that would put the price at 2, 3, 4. Well, I mean, you can see that this would be $10,000. So, I mean, just a little bit south of $10,000, maybe $8,000 or so. We would just continue to. I mean, I know Bitcoin is already at around that price, but if we were just to move sideways, then we could end up holding that as support before potentially going up. And then obviously a very bullish case would be to just keep going up and not look back and get above the 20-week moving average, hold it as support, and just keep on moving up this ladder, basically. And if we were to obviously come up here, then we would likely come back down into this region or even this region. So we'll keep an eye on obviously where we're headed. I hope you guys like this a different way of looking at it, and I'm not going to claim that I'm the first person to plot time on a log scale, because I know I'm not. There's plenty of people that have looked at this, but just for the sake of completeness, we're covering it on the channel. And I would like to know what you guys think. If you want to see this kind of stuff for other coins, I could do it too. Just let me know. Again, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Check out my Twitter and Telegram channels. They're growing quickly, and we're at the Telegram channel. Basically, I'm adding another admin every time we move up another 1,000 members. So we do have one that we made an admin at 1,000 members, and when we get to 2,000, we'll have another admin, just to kind of help moderate things and in case anything ever gets out of hand. But really, typically there's just a lot of good conversations in that chat room, and a lot of people that just want to come in with a more of a mature mindset, and look at things for what they are, look at the data for what it says, and to try to predict or guess what will happen over the next few years, and just bounce these ideas around. So again, if you guys like the content, subscribe. If you want to dive in further and get access to even more stuff, then check out my Patreon channel, which you can find in the description below. It's just patreon.com/intothecryptoverse. And we'll keep publishing the videos. We'll keep making new content, and as we move throughout 2020. So again, this was just covering log. There's actually a number of other price transforms we could do that might elucidate more information. We'll get to those in future videos. But until next time, guys, bye.